attaché, and I'll tell you what, I mean, it's inspiring always to be around Ukrainians. They are steadfast in this. They are not giving up. They will be in this fight, in their words, for as long as it takes. I'm glad that President Biden is using those words, as long as it takes. And I would have liked him to add, we're going to give them as much as it takes to help them to win. He didn't choose to use those words, and he hasn't used those words.
Are you glad that he's using those words and how he necessarily means them? Because there are some people that are looking at this and saying the United States is essentially fighting a proxy war against Russia, and we're funding the Ukrainians as long as it takes. Russia, may not be in the strongest position right now, but it does continue to keep going. Vladimir Putin now threatening the use of nuclear weapons. I mean, this is escalating and getting serious. Some people are saying President Biden needs to try to get in there, get smart people in the room, try to work this out and negotiate some sort of deal, not just stand by condemning the attacks.
Well, let's just think about what you just said. I mean, here we have Russia conducted an unprovoked war on a democratic country inside of Europe, something we haven't seen since World War II, I may add. And the fact is, there's an opportunity to defeat this Russian military inside of Ukraine. And all they want is for us to help them do that. They're not asking us to fly a single airplane or pull a single trigger. Just give us the means to help us do that. If you talk to the Poles or the people from the Baltic states, they believe this war with Russia against NATO country was inevitable. That's why the Poles are giving them their operational equipment from their units into the Ukrainians. He said, the Polish leader told me, he says, look, the war with Russia we're fighting now, not 5 years from now. We have the opportunity to end it now. That is why we're taking this kind of risk. That is the clarity I wish people would have when they feed you the information that you just provided to me, which is this is a proxy war. Let's negotiate ourselves out of it. What does that mean? That means that
General,
the Russians occupy hundreds of thousands.
How far do we have to go?
Let me finish. That means the Russians are going to occupy hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian people. How far do we go? Until the Russians are driven out of the Ukraine's territory.
And what if Vladimir Putin pulls the trigger on nuclear weapons? The president called it Armageddon himself.
I know you have a tendency to want to step on me here and not let me finish, but let's try to see if we can finish this statement, all right? The fact is that the probability of using nuclear weapons is quite low, in my judgment. Putin is about self-preservation. He's going to figure out what his end game is, how he's going to preserve his regime. He knows full well that if he uses nuclear weapons, Jackie, he's at a war with the United States and NATO directly. That would guarantee him losing the very war. If he wanted to use a nuclear weapon, it would be to end the war. But it wouldn't end the war. The Ukrainians are going to fight him and continue to fight him until they're out of his territory. That is the reality of what we are dealing with. And we got to look at this coldly and not be wringing our hands. And hopefully the president is working this very hard in terms of making certain that there is a deterrence there, that Russia understands the consequences that they will face as a result of it. And hopefully the president is also talking to our allies about this, as well as our adversaries. It's not in China's interest for Russia to let go a nuclear weapon. That would put the thought in the mind of Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea to also nuclearize for self-preservation. So we got to look at this for what it really is.
I hope he is doing all of the things that you just mentioned, and certainly as this continues, we'll continue to bring you back on to get your expertise. Thank you, General.